New construction can be a great option, and I help buyers with this all the time, but it's not as simple as people think. A lot of buyers believe the process is pick a model, sign the paperwork, and then you just wait for the home to be done. And yes, that is a surface version, but there's a lot more happening behind the scenes. And if you don't understand the process, that's where buyers get surprised, they get stressed, or they end up with problems they didn't even expect. I'm Tina Veltri, and I grew up right here on Florida's Space Coast, and I help people buy, build, sell, and relocate right here every day. And today I'm going to walk you through this just like I do with my own customers. Before you look at floor plans, before you tour communities, before you fall in love with anything, we talk about how you're buying and what your timeline looks like. Can you wait and build? Or do you need a home in a certain time frame? That one question changes everything. If you have time and flexibility, building a semi-custom home might make sense for you. But if you have a deadline and you're moving here for a job, or a lease is ending, or you have a home that you need to sell, then we may need to look at spec homes that are already under construction, or something that's going to be completed soon. And sometimes once we talk through timing, honestly, buyers realize that new construction may not be the right fit for them at all. And that's okay. Because timeline affects which builders make sense, which homes are even available to you, and how much flexibility you really have in the process. And this is where strategy starts, not at the model home. Just so you know, I do have another video which covers what buyers really need to know before visiting a model home, especially around representation and signing in, and I'll link that here if you want to watch it next. Model homes are meant to look perfect. That's literally their job. But one of the most important questions buyers usually don't ask when they walk into a model home is this: how much of what I'm looking at is standard, and how much of this is upgrades? Every model has a base price, and then there's the version you're standing in. So when I walk through models with buyers, we're always asking, what is the base price of this model? What was upgraded in this home? And roughly how much were those upgrades? Because cabinets, flooring, countertops, lighting, all of that adds up very quickly. And if you don't separate standard from upgrade right away, it's very easy to think you're buying one thing and then end up with something very different. And this is why I also tell buyers, don't compare model to model. Compare builder to builder, because one builder's standard might be another builder's upgrade, and the price on the sign rarely tells the full story. New construction contracts are not the same as resale contracts. They're written by a builder. They're meant to protect the builder, and that's not necessarily a bad thing, but buyers need to understand what they're agreeing to. One of the biggest things we slow down and talk through are the deposits. How much is due when you sign? Are there additional deposits as the build progresses? And what are those deposits? And more importantly, when do those deposits become non-refundable? Because real life happens. I've had buyers under contract on a new construction home that had to cancel, not because they changed their mind, but because a relocation job they were counting on fell through. They were very lucky because they were still within the time frame where they could get their deposit back. If they weren't, they would have been stuck. And that's the part buyers don't always think about when they're excited. So before you sign anything, you need to understand how much money is at risk. When is it at risk? And what happens if circumstances change? This is another area when having someone walk you through the contract, not just email it to you, really matters. Okay, I don't want to get overly technical here, but there are a few things during the build phase that are super important for buyers to truly understand, because this is where mistakes are hard or impossible to undo. Before the concrete is poured, before the foundation slab is poured, the soil has to be properly prepared and given time to settle. Builders don't just wait for fun. They wait because they have to, because the ground needs time to do what it's supposed to do before the foundation is laid. And once that concrete is poured, whatever is underneath is permanent. And this is one of those moments where the right questions matter. When was the soil work completed? What is the scheduled date for the cement pour? How long is the builder required to wait before pouring? And will there be a pre-pour inspection before that happens? And this is exactly why pre-build inspections exist, not to slow the process down, but to confirm that each step was completed correctly before the next one happens. You don't need to be an expert to ask these questions. You just need to understand that sequence and timing matters in a new build. Another critical point during the building process is the pre-wall inspection. At this stage, the walls are up, but the drywall isn't on yet. This is the last opportunity to see what's actually inside the walls. This is when things like framing, electrical, plumbing, your HVAC system, structural connections can all be reviewed. And once the drywall goes up, all of that is hidden. Yes, builders have inspections, and yes, the city inspects, but those inspections are focused on minimum code requirements. A private inspection at this stage looks at the home from the buyer's perspective before everything gets covered up. And skipping a pre-build inspection does not save you money. It can feel like it does in the moment, but it often costs buyers much more later if there's problems. This isn't a game. This is your money. This is your home. I've spoken with very reputable inspectors in my area who consistently see major issues with reputable builders, including plumbing problems in brand new homes. Many of those issues would have been identified early just with a pre-drywall inspection. If you're finding this video to be helpful and it's giving you some value, please make sure to subscribe to my channel. I share buyer, seller, and new construction guidance like this so that people can make informed decisions, not rushed ones. Now, this is where I want buyers to really think. When someone buys a resale home, they automatically get a home inspection. They don't just trust that the home is in perfect condition. They want all the information themselves. And usually when buyers receive the home inspections, they're going through it line by line to decide what they want fixed. But in new construction, buyers often do the opposite. They trust, they assume, they rely on the builder and the city inspections. And that just doesn't make sense. Trust should never replace verification, especially when you're making this big financial decision in your life. Now, there's another piece that I really want buyers to understand. Most people, most buyers, automatically use a buyer's agent when they're purchasing a resale home. And they expect that agent to walk them through the process, guide them through, help them through inspections to close, and represent and protect their best interests. But in new construction, buyers often go without representation. And this is where I see people get into trouble. In a resale, you're dealing with a seller. In new construction, you're dealing with a builder. A listing agent works for a seller. A builder's rep works for the builder. The inspector works for whoever hired them. And if you don't have an agent, there's no one whose job is to protect you. An agent in new construction isn't just opening doors. We're helping buyers understand contracts and timelines, inspections and upgrades, warranty issues, and what's negotiable and what's not. And in most cases, buyer representation is already built into the pricing. Going without an agent does not save you money. It just removes your buyer's advocate. Now, next we get to one of the most exciting parts of the process, whether it's an in-person design center meeting with the builder or it's online or virtual design portal. This is where the buyer starts seeing their home really come together. And it's also where things can start moving very quickly. There's a lot of choices. Deadlines come quickly, and it's easy to want everything. What I always encourage buyers to do at this stage is pause for a moment and really understand all of their options. Take the time to look at what's included as standard. What upgrades actually change the home long term? What upgrades are a must-have, and what upgrades are more personal preference but not necessarily needed? It helps to make a simple list. What's most important to you? What would be nice to have, and what you're okay with skipping? Because upgrades add up quickly, and it's very easy for the cost to keep climbing up without realizing it until you're looking at the final numbers. This is your home, and it should reflect how you live. But it's still a huge financial decision. So being intentional here makes the rest of the process a lot more comfortable. Then, when you get closer to completion, there are a few things buyers should not rush. Final walkthrough, punch list items, and final inspection. We want to make sure major issues are addressed before closing, and that buyers understand what's warranty versus what needs to be handled right away. New construction closings feel very different than a resale closing, and buyers should know what's going on. Some problems don't show up until you've lived in the home, after seasons change, after systems get used, and that's why I always recommend an 11-month warranty inspection, while the builder is still responsible for fixing documented issues. And this step alone can save buyers a lot of money. If you're thinking about new construction or you have any questions concerning the situation you're in now or in the future, feel free to drop them in the comments. I promise I look at my comments and I answer every one of them. New construction can be an amazing option, but it should still be treated like what it is, a major financial decision. And that means asking the right questions, understanding the process, and making sure you're protected at every stage. If you're selling a home as part of your move, I already have several seller-focused videos on pricing strategy and preparation that walk you through that side of the process. And coming up, I'll be sitting down with a home inspector to talk through what really matters for both resale home inspections and new construction home inspections, including timing and what buyers should understand before they ever sign a contract. And if you're still in the research phase and you just want clarity, I'm always happy to help you think through your next steps. Thanks for watching. I'm Tina Veltri. I'll see you on the next video.